Welcome back, everybody, to my channel. This is Things I Wish I Would Have Known Before I Got Married, episode 2. So, let's get straight into it.
Good evening, everybody. On this morning, our topic is entitled Bittersweet, because oftentimes we know that the word or the term bittersweet simply means a mixture of two feelings. In other words, many of us are happy with the title of having a relationship or being in a relationship, or many of us are happy with the title of being married, but we're sad in the marriage. Or we're happy to tell everybody that we're in a relationship, but we're sad in the relationship. I'm inspired this morning by a song that we all grew up on, the Hokey Pokey song, a childhood song. Simply means you put your whole self in, you take your whole self out. You put your whole self in and then you shake it all about. And in my own relationship, in my own experience, things that I wish I would have known before I got married, I wish I would have known to put my whole self in. Because I think we say that verbally, but oftentimes the harsh reality is that we fail to do so. And I know that I failed to do so early on in my marriage and still working on it today, which was simply communication. And what I mean by communication, what I mean by that is really intimacy. In other words, I'm simply suggesting that into me that you can see. Simply communicating the fact that I had to learn to really put my guard down and not be afraid to allow my wife to see my shortcomings and my failures, my childhood, how I grew up, the things that I struggle with, the things that I don't struggle with. So really just learning to really just put my guard down and say, hey, I'm married now. Let me put my whole self in by communicating the fact that, hey, this is what hurts me, this is what I like, and this is what I don't like, and let's communicate it and let's take it from there.
And sometimes, like when he says, putting your whole self in, like we feel like we don't want to, like he said, be vulnerable because we feel like, you know, what if this doesn't work out? I've, let my guard down. I've told this person my innermost, deepest, darkest secrets, or the things of, how I operate, how I think. And, they may take advantage of me. They may say things or throw it back up in my face. But you gotta believe that if you are married to that person and you feel like that is the one for you, I feel like with me and him, I tell him everything. Like anything that's going on with me, I'm not afraid to tell him because I know that he's gonna encourage me, support me, and he's not gonna throw it back up in my face. So if you're with somebody that you're afraid to, communicate those things, just talk to the person and just, let them know, your fears, and let them know that, I want to open up to you, but I may have some, reservations because I don't know, how it's going to work out, or if it's going to be, something that will ruin the relationship. So do not be afraid to be vulnerable and let your guard down so that the person can see the whole you.
Yeah, because I think that sometimes we make vulnerability a bad word, but there's a difference between vulnerable in certain relationships versus being vulnerable in marriage. And of course, in marriage, certain family members and certain friends shouldn't have the same access to you as your spouse does. And so the second thing that I think that I had to learn to do in my marriage that I really didn't really understand at first was simply the law of agreement.
Right.
Okay, and so what I simply mean by the law of agreement is, of course, you got to communicate your vision, and then she communicates or he communicates their vision so that you all won't have double vision.
Right.
Okay, so in other words, I had to learn to communicate, and we had to get on the same page with our finances, what we wanted to do with our finances, what we didn't want it to do, certain money that we did want to spend and that we didn't want to spend. And so, of course, the law of agreement, so that we could all be walking on the same page. How can two walk together unless they agree? Right.
And so I'm glad you said that because my daughter's sitting right here and she's want to say hey. Say hey. Hey. Okay, now go sit down, baby. Let mommy and daddy do their video. Okay, love you. Okay. So like he was saying with the law of agreement. So with finances, me and Josiah have been married for 6 years. December 14th makes 7 years for us. So I'm a saver, and he's more like, I guess, relaxed when it comes to money. So sometimes I can come off as, okay, we need to cut back, we need to do this, we need to do that. And to him, sometimes it could come off as I'm trying to be controlling, but I'm trying to keep us on track and keep us on budget. So we have to be on agreement that, okay, we said we were going to do this in our finances. We said that we are going to make this adjustment and we're going to have to stick to it. So that's something that you guys have to come together and say, this is something that we're going to agree on, and y'all have to stick to it.
Right. And the last thing that we want to discuss on today is you can't run on empty. And I think sometimes if we're not careful, I can make sure that all my needs are met and not hers. You know, and oftentimes if we're not careful, we're so striving to be so nice that we're making sure that other person's needs are met, but our needs are not met. And then we're run on empty. And like I said, we're bittersweet. In other words, we're happy to have the title of being married, but we're sad in the relationship because we're striving and we're attempting to run on empty. And we have to make sure that we fuel each other up with the gasoline so that we can press and move forward.
Right. And it can't just be one-sided. It can't be, okay, I want you to change, but you're not willing to change yourself. You have to be back to law of agreement. You have to say, I'm willing to do this, I'm willing to do that. Because if it's one-sided and one person is always trying to make the changes and the other person is not, it is not going to work. So you guys have to be open, you have to be honest, you have to communicate, and you have to make sure that you guys are not running empty. Because what's going to end up happening is if one person continues to run empty, they're not going to want to work on the relationship. They may want to throw in the towel. So I just want you guys to know that, you know, it could be bittersweet, you know, but you guys want to make it special. You want the relationship to last. You want to love each other. So that's what we have for us today. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, stay tuned for the next part.
Stay tuned for our next video. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Joy, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Come on.